At the end of chapter 8, Swedenborg writes, "These things have been set forth because without that knowledge in advance the things about heaven which follow cannot be at all comprehended." So, what are the things you need to know? As we read chapter 8, we find a new term, and that is ultimates. Swedenborg writes, "Many people think that the earthly and material things of which a man's ultimate part is composed make the man, and that apart from these, the man is not a man." And what he means by that term ultimate is the last or lowest things of a person, those things that are most external and most physical, and least alive. In this case, we can see that he's talking about the human body. So what are those things that you need to know? Here are 4 points from chapter 8. First of all, a right idea of spiritual and celestial things. He writes, "It is not from having a body that the man is a man, but from his ability to understand what is true and to will what is good." Secondly is the focus upon internals as the important thing, the determining factor in all that we do. The angels never pay any attention to what a man does with his body, but they are concerned with the will from which the body acts. This they call the man himself. Thirdly, heaven is ruled by the Lord as one man, thus as a unit. And within that unity there is great diversity. The picture of the grand man Swedenborg presents in chapter 8 reminds me very much of Paul's body of Christ as he describes it in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And fourthly is Swedenborg's idea of use. So many different things act as one in a man because there is nothing whatever in him which does not contribute something to the general welfare and perform a use. The general performs a use for its parts, and the parts for the general. Defining this idea of use, he writes, "To perform use is to will well to others for the sake of the common good, and not to perform use is to will well to others for the sake of self." I thought I'd introduce you to True Christianity this week, or True Christian Religion. It was published in 1771, and it was Swedenborg's last major work. It's published either in 1 or 2 volumes, and it sets out his complete Christian theology, starting with the nature of God. What I really enjoy about this book are the descriptions and comparisons he uses. He often draws word pictures to make or illustrate a point. And it's also written with debate in mind. His writing is direct, it's logical and even argumentative at times. It's interesting to compare it with his other book that sets out his theology, and that is New Jerusalem and its Heavenly Doctrine. True Christianity certainly isn't the easy reading which that former book is, and its purpose is very different. I find it interesting that the New Jerusalem takes a step-by-step approach. It begins with the basics of defining what goodness and truth are, and builds on that to finish with the Lord, whereas True Christian Religion begins with the Lord and works from there. I'd often recommend New Jerusalem to the beginning reader, someone who's new to religion and spirituality, whereas I'd recommend True Christian Religion to the seasoned theologian, and I wonder whether that was Swedenborg's intention. Today, as we look at Swedenborg's influences, I'd like to talk about religion. The great Zen master D.T. Suzuki was a reader of Swedenborg and a translator of some of his works. He described Swedenborg as the Buddha of the North. But Swedenborg also influenced people like Rudolf Steiner, Madame Helena Blavatsky, who founded the Theosophist movement, Mary Baker Eddy, who founded Christian Science. Charles C. Bonney's a relative unknown, but he's the man who came up with the idea of the first World Parliament of Religions held in 1893 in Chicago, which ultimately led to the interfaith movement. As always, I'd invite you to read along with us or read ahead if you'd prefer. You're welcome to write any questions you have in the comments and we'll do our best we can to answer them. Enjoy the journey.